Most people think SB19's struggle ended the moment they went viral. The truth is darker and far more impressive. Before the applause, before the endorsements, before the global charts, there were years of silence, rejection, and calculated risk that nearly broke them. 5 young men trained under brutal standards, mocked for dreaming too big, and dismissed for not fitting anyone's idea of success. This isn't a success story polished for fans. This is about endurance, about surviving an industry designed to erase you. And once you understand what SB19 actually survived, you'll realize their rise wasn't luck. It was war. A10, and everyone watching from around the world. This moment isn't happening alone. If you're part of this shift, tap like, subscribe, and share this video so the story travels as fast as the votes did. This channel documents history in real time. And today, you're part of it. The most dangerous lie about SB19 is the idea that they appeared out of nowhere. Overnight success sounds flattering, but it erases years of struggle with a single lazy phrase. When their performance finally went viral, the internet reacted as if 5 strangers had suddenly discovered talent. What people didn't see were the years before that moment. Years where nothing was guaranteed, where effort didn't equal recognition, and where quitting would have made more sense than continuing. Virality compresses time. 10 years of discipline, failure, and repetition get reduced to a few seconds on a scrolling feed. Audiences see polish, not the exhaustion behind it. They see confidence, not the doubt that nearly consumed it. The industry quietly encourages this illusion because struggle is inconvenient. It's easier to sell destiny than endurance, easier to brand success as fate than as survival. But this misconception doesn't just misinform critics, it harms artists. When people believe success was easy, they feel entitled to demand more, judge harder, and dismiss growth as arrogance. For SB19, that label ignored the truth. They weren't discovered. They outlasted. They didn't rise because the world suddenly noticed them. They rose because they kept going long after the world decided they weren't worth noticing. SB19 didn't appear. They endured, and that difference changes everything. SB19 entered the music industry without the one thing most artists rely on: protection. No powerful safety net, no guaranteed exposure, no system built to catch them if they failed. What they faced instead was a version of Korean Idol training, strict, unforgiving, and performance-obsessed, without the infrastructure that usually supports it. The standards were elite, the resources were not. They trained under discipline designed for an industry with massive budgets, global pipelines, and long-established systems. But SB19 had to meet those same expectations while dealing with financial strain, uncertainty, and cultural displacement. Every rehearsal carried pressure. Every mistake felt expensive. They weren't just learning choreography or vocal control. They were learning how to survive inside a system that didn't promise survival. Unlike industry-backed idols, there was no guarantee that hard work would lead anywhere. No assurance that sacrifice would be rewarded. The margin for error was razor thin, because failure didn't mean trying again. It meant disappearing. And chasing perfection without protection takes a psychological toll. It creates fear, self-doubt, and exhaustion that talent alone can't fix. Yet they stayed. Not because it was safe, but because walking away meant abandoning years of belief. SB19 trained knowing the cost and paid it anyway. The internet can build careers, but it can also destroy confidence in seconds. SB19 learned this early. Before their global recognition, they faced relentless ridicule. Critics mocked their visuals, questioned their sound, and dismissed their ambition as naive. Trying too hard became a recurring label, a phrase designed to belittle effort disguised as critique. For a group trying to elevate Filipino pop onto the world stage, every comment felt like a spotlight on failure rather than potential. International audiences were often dismissive. Filipino music wasn't considered serious or marketable. Every tweet, meme, and YouTube comment became a test of resilience. Social media amplified achievements and crushed morale with equal force. A single viral laugh could undo months of hard work. And in the quiet spaces, during late-night rehearsals, long drives, or empty practice rooms, the silence of indifference was deafening. It wasn't just mockery, it was invisibility, a reminder that no one believed in them. Yet SB19 persisted. Mental resilience became as crucial as talent. They learned to transform ridicule into fuel, to let criticism sharpen rather than paralyze. Every rejection reinforced their resolve. Every laugh hardened their ambition. The internet could try to define them, but they refused to be defined by it. In a world designed to dismiss them, SB19 chose endurance over surrender. Talent alone doesn't pay bills. For SB19, chasing a dream meant living with constant financial uncertainty. Early in their journey, there were months with barely enough for essentials. Housing, food, transportation, all had to be balanced with rehearsal schedules and long commutes. Many of the members supported families while pursuing an uncertain dream, adding invisible pressure that most fans will never see. The choice between survival and passion was never hypothetical. Every day demanded sacrifice, skipping meals to save money, missing family milestones, postponing education or other career opportunities. At countless points, quitting wasn't cowardice, it was the rational option. Continuing meant risking more than pride. It meant risking stability for a dream that may never come true. And yet, they stayed. Not because it was heroic, but because giving up would erase years of endurance. The emotional toll of rehearsals, the hours of strain, self-doubt, and exhaustion was compounded by the weight of financial insecurity. Every note sung, every dance perfected, was paid for with sweat, anxiety, and silent fear. The world saw the stage lights. SB19 lived in the shadows behind them. Their struggle wasn't glamorous, it was survival. For SB19, discipline wasn't just habit, it was survival. When every opportunity could be the last, structure became armor against chaos. Long before recognition, they learned to turn relentless practice into a shield, refining vocal control, perfecting choreography, and building team synchronization under extreme pressure. Every mistake was dissected, every success measured against the next goal. There was no external validation, no applause to tell them they were enough. The only reward was progress itself, and the knowledge that only relentless effort would keep them in the game. Their discipline extended beyond rehearsals. Time management, mental focus, and emotional resilience were as rigorously trained as their singing and dancing. SB19 didn't wait for permission to be great. They claimed it through sweat and precision. Every repetition, every calculated improvement, became a quiet act of rebellion against a system that doubted them. Consistency wasn't boring, it was revolutionary. While others relied on luck, industry backing, or fleeting trends, SB19 relied on unyielding self-discipline. In a world that rewards flash over foundation, they earned respect the hard way. Stage by stage, performance by performance, discipline became their weapon, not just to survive the industry, but to dominate it. SB19 didn't stumble into greatness. They engineered it, brick by brick, with unwavering commitment. When SB19's performance went viral, the world assumed it was the beginning of everything. But virality is deceptive. One viral clip can be blinding, creating the illusion of success while leaving the foundations untested. Overnight, pressure multiplied exponentially. Suddenly, 5 young men who had been quietly enduring criticism, ridicule, and financial strain were thrust into the spotlight, visible, scrutinized, and vulnerable. Many artists collapse under such sudden attention. Fame amplifies flaws, magnifies mistakes, and exposes insecurities. A viral moment alone cannot sustain a career. Without strategy, resilience, and discipline, it evaporates as quickly as it arrives. SB19 understood this. They treated virality not as a destination, but as another challenge, a test of control over chaos. Every performance, every decision was measured. They refused to let sudden popularity dictate their trajectory. What could have been a fleeting spark instead became a turning point because SB19 chose focus over frenzy. They maintained creative autonomy, strengthened internal cohesion, and balanced visibility with preparation. Virality might have opened the door, but discipline and foresight kept it open. In that instant, SB19 didn't just survive exposure. They turned it into a platform for enduring impact. Fame has a way of shaping artists, but for SB19, it was a test of self-preservation. Suddenly visible to millions, they faced the temptation to conform, dilute their sound, mimic trends, or compromise authenticity to fit a global mold. Yet SB19 refused. Reinvention for them wasn't about chasing approval, it was about evolution while maintaining core identity. They experimented musically, blending genres, storytelling techniques, and stagecraft, each choice reinforcing their artistry without losing cultural essence. Carrying Filipino identity onto the global stage added both pride and pressure. Every lyric, every choreography, every music video became a declaration. They would not erase who they were to be heard. Navigating expectations from fans, media, and the industry was a tightrope walk. Missteps could trigger criticism, while stagnation risked irrelevance. Growth required courage to try, fail, adapt, and remain authentic. This phase was far more dangerous than obscurity. In anonymity, mistakes fade. In visibility, they echo. SB19 risked criticism, misinterpretation, and the high stakes of global judgment. Yet they turned pressure into creative fuel, proving that authenticity and innovation can coexist. Reinvention became not just survival, it became a statement. SB19 would define themselves on their own terms, in their own voice, and no spotlight could dictate their identity. SB19's journey evolved beyond personal ambition. They became symbols of possibility. With each global performance, they represented more than music. They embodied the rise of P-pop on the world stage. Suddenly, their choices carried weight not just for themselves, but for aspiring artists, fans, and an entire movement striving for recognition. This role brought unprecedented pressure. Every song, dance, and interview wasn't just evaluated for quality. It was scrutinized for what it represented. Balancing leadership with vulnerability became crucial. They had to inspire without projecting perfection, to lead while still navigating personal challenges. Every misstep could ripple far beyond the group, shaping perceptions of Filipino pop culture globally. The emotional weight of influence is rarely discussed. SB19 became mentors, role models, and ambassadors, even as they continued learning and evolving themselves. They carried responsibility they never anticipated, yet they embraced it. Their movement demanded courage, strategy, and integrity. SB19's story isn't only about building a career. It's about carrying a legacy while still surviving the very industry that tests resilience at every turn. They transformed pressure into purpose, proving leadership is earned through endurance, vision, and unwavering authenticity. Even after achieving global recognition, SB19's battle didn't end. It simply changed. Fame doesn't bring peace. It introduces new risks. Every decision is scrutinized, every song analyzed, every public appearance dissected. Creative freedom now exists alongside commercial pressures, forcing a delicate balance between artistry and market demands. Burnout, exhaustion, and the constant weight of expectations are relentless, invisible forces that most fans will never see. Staying relevant in a fast-moving industry is harder than achieving a breakthrough. Trends shift overnight, and the pressure to innovate without compromising identity is intense. SB19 faces the challenge of evolving while staying true to the values and artistry that earned their place in the spotlight. Missteps are magnified, success is demanded, and privacy is a luxury. Every day becomes a strategic battlefield where resilience is measured not by applause, but by consistency and endurance. Yet, despite the heightened stakes, SB19 continues to fight. Their struggle now plays out on a bigger stage with higher stakes, but their approach is the same: discipline, teamwork, and unwavering dedication. Survival has become mastery. The battlefield may have expanded, but SB19's resolve remains unshakable. Their story reminds us that success is not a destination. It is the ongoing courage to endure, adapt, and rise, even when the challenges grow larger than ever. What makes SB19 extraordinary is their refusal to compromise. They've carried Filipino culture into the global spotlight without dilution, blending artistry and authenticity while navigating pressures that would derail lesser artists. Their struggle resonates beyond music because it embodies universal truths: the cost of ambition, the endurance required for mastery, and the courage to define oneself against impossible odds.